Hello and welcome to another Game Nexus arcade video. Today we're going to be taking a look at, as you can see on your screen here, Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution. This game was released in 2002 on the Sega Naomi 2 hardware. The first revision was the cartridge, followed by, which actually was in 2001, followed by the Revision A, which was the first GD-Rom version, and then this one, Revision B, which is actually the second GD-Rom version, which I would imagine it was just some bug fixes. As you can see, all the characters from the original Virtua Fighter 4 are present here. It just adds Brad Burns, and I don't know how you say his name, honestly. It's like Go Hinogami. But basically, Brad Burns here is your kickboxing character. I can say that I've actually tried playing this game with the other character, and no matter how hard I try, I just really can't get his move style down. So I've been able to do fairly decent with Brad Burns here. For the longest time, I actually couldn't get through all 10 stages with him. I would always get like really beat really badly, maybe about 4th match in. But with some extra credits, I've been able to do it. Now, of course, it goes without saying that Brad Burns is like a kickboxer. He does all the moves and everything. It's really cool. And that's one thing I definitely love about this game, is the weather effects. At least the mirror match here, you know what, my big pet peeve is mirror matches. At least the mirror match was at stage 2, so the difficulty wasn't too hard. If the mirror match had been like at stage 8, it probably would have been crazy hard, because as you can see, I don't use a ton of Brad Burns' moves. But what I was saying is, one thing I love about the Naomi 2 board is that it made the ability to have like some really good weather effects, which really in previous games they had some decent weather effects, but this is the first time I can recall they actually look really good. And one thing I always say to myself is I always say that Sega Naomi should have been called Sega Model 4, because I kind of feel that it kind of fits that mold, since it's like the marquee board for Virtua Fighter 4.
So what? Fight one.
Or, what I really mean is the vice versa of that, is that Virtua Fighter 4 is like the marquee game for Sega Naomi 2. Kind of like how your Model 1, of course Virtual Racing came first, but Virtua Fighter was the Model 1 big game to show off. And then of course with Model 2 you had games like Daytona before that, but the one that really showed off what the Model 2 could do, in my opinion, of course, was Virtua Fighter 2. There's no question about that. That game is still amazing to this day, as you may have seen in my arcade video for that. Then of course, when it comes to the Model 3, actually Virtua Fighter 3 was one of the original games on that, so it was kind of the game that showed it all.
Fight like a tiger.
I still say that phrase, "I sting like a bee and bite like a tiger," kind of sounds like he's trying to parody Muhammad Ali, but he just has to say it differently, or maybe there'd be a copyright. But one thing I definitely have to say about lei-fei here, the monk, he's one of those characters that actually is really good. In fact, he's one of those characters that was very good that was added. I didn't play him for a good time, but I definitely say after playing lei-fei a little bit, he's a really quick character, and if you can get his combos down, you can pretty much defeat just about any character in the game. And now one thing I want to make brief mention of that I thought was funny is that recently someone had made a comment on my video about the intros, which the intros have been posted as a separate video. But the funny thing is, I don't know if it's present in all versions of the PS2 game, but at least in the North American PlayStation 2 version of this game, Vanessa's outfit, her first one, which is kind of like the sports bra and the tight shorts, has been completely removed, and they basically just took her second outfit, cloned it, and turned it brown. And now, of course, this is the other new Virtua Fighter Evolution character here. This is Go, or however you say his name. He has a really stiff moveset. It feels like it's like maybe a slower, stronger version of Akira. I'm not really sure how to describe it. But as you can see here, I really didn't have all that much problems with him, even though I kind of don't have the full grasp of Brad Burns' kickboxer moves here. But yeah, he's a really cool looking character, definitely. But what I was saying is, it was just very strange that that costume was removed from Vanessa Lewis in the PS2 version in North America. Because the funny part is the actual North American version of the original Virtua Fighter for PlayStation 2 actually had that outfit. Of course, all the lighting was all messed up and the reflection was messed up. But, that's one thing I will say. Even though the actual PS2 version of this game is not 100% arcade perfect, it's much closer than the original Virtua Fighter got, because recently I popped both of the games into my PlayStation 3, which is actually hooked to the same screen I play most of my games on. The home version of Virtua Fighter for PS2, it has serious aliasing problems. The textures, you can tell, are much lower res, and just a lot of the effects just look basically toned down. Whereas when you compare that to the PS2 version of this game, Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution, it just has a much better look. The jaggies are not nearly as bad. It doesn't look as clean as this, of course, but the textures look a little bit better. The models look a little bit better. Everything's been improved, and you don't have that specular detailing map that's really bad in the PS2 version. Like, for instance, I played as that Vanessa Lewis costume, and for some reason, her whole skin was really shiny, and the outfit did not look how it should, because it should have looked like a sports bra and maybe I don't know if they were spandex or something shorts, but the texture just looked all off, and you could tell it's just because maybe Sega just rushed with the original PS2 version, because when they ported Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution, they did a lot better job of it. And now the sad part about this game is the only thing that memes history.dat actually covers on this is that I'll read it verbatim here. Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution 2002 Sega, an updated version of Virtua Fighter 4 with new features, mainly 2 additional fighters, Brad Burns, a kickboxer, and Gou Hinagami, a judo master. And then it just says here, for the version that I had selected, it runs on Naomi 2 GD-Rom. But of course, the original cartridge ran on the just regular Naomi 2 system. But then, of course, they made a bunch of revisions. And of course, when it comes to revising games on the Naomi, it's a lot easier just to print the GD-ROM than to have to do another cartridge. And now on the PS2, this game came out in 2003. So at least Sega seemed to take their time with it, and they didn't rush it out in 2002 to coincide with the arcade version. But I'm guessing at this point, Sega kind of smarted up and wanted to give their game some good arcade time before they rushed the console version out. And I didn't mention it at the time, but I actually do lose a decent amount here. The biggest loss of any character was at Jackie. For some reason in this game, I don't know if it's just this version, or maybe it's because I'm not too great at Brad Burns, but he beat me so many times that I had to keep continuing. I lost a few times in some of the other fighters, but I didn't do too bad, honestly, considering, as I probably more or less beat you over the head with at this point, I'm not too great at Brad Burns. Now here's Aoi here. Initially, for some reason, I had in my arcade video for Virtua Fighter, I thought that she was the new character in this game when it was really Vanessa Lewis and lei-fei. But she was a new character in Virtua Fighter 3, which at this point in my life, I'm very proud to actually have a arcade board of that, because that game looks amazing on the Model 3, as I'd mentioned earlier. But she's one of those characters who has a lot of great quick moves, but the only thing she's lacking, she's very quick, but she lacks offense. So you have to be really careful that your enemy doesn't like get a good few hits that totally end up killing you.
Like a bee, bite like a tiger.
Every time I hear him say that, it just sounds hilariously bad, no matter what. Now, one thing I want to make mention of here is, if you have a Naomi 2 system, and you're trying to play this GD-Rom on your system, I believe it may be the same with version A, but don't quote me on it, but I know at least with this game, Virtua Fighter Evolution version B, you need a Japanese BIOS in order to play this. Or, of course, if you have the arcade mod BIOS like I do, just make sure you flip your system in Japanese mode, or the game will just simply do that error, game is not proper for main board. I forget what error number it is, but more or less it means, hey, you got the wrong region. It's one of my few games that actually needs to be in the Japanese region in order to work, which I do have a few of them, including, like, one of the ones I know that I purchased more recently was Street Fighter 03 Upper, because that was only released in Japan, never released in America. Well, the arcade version at least. I know they released, like, a PlayStation Portable version. And now this is one of those matches that I was thinking to myself, there's no way I'm going to get past Akira on stage 10 without losing once, but somehow I actually managed. And the funny thing is, ever since somebody proposed, like, they had a create your costume contest in Dead or Alive 5 that you could create a new costume that actually come out in Dead or Alive 5, and the one guy suggested that Akira have a banana costume, and he called it Banana Kira. So whenever I see Akira in any game I play as or against him, I always say Banana Kira, because it's just such a funny joke in my opinion, that you're like taking the word banana and Akira and combining them into one. And of course, as you had seen, I'm not too great with Brad Burns, so there's really no chance I'm gonna beat Dural as him. But just like any of the Virtua Fighter 4 games, this is a great game to have for your Naomi 2 system, and at least in this case, because it wasn't nearly as bad as the PS2 version. I mean, as the original PS2 version.
I can't believe this is happening to me.
It's definitely a great PS2 game to play, and whenever I see Brad Burns do his lose pose there, I always think to myself, like, somebody wants to go over to him and be like, it's okay, Brad, it happens to all guys. It's not just you, because it's the way that he goes, I can't believe this is happening to me, sounds like some sort of erectile dysfunction thing. And, like, it just sounds like somebody should walk up to him and reassure him that, like, he's not the only one in the world that has that problem. That's just what it made me think of when I first saw that. Whereas most other characters, they don't say something weird like that. But yeah, as I said, absolutely. If you have a Naomi 2, there's no reason that you shouldn't have this or any of the Virtua Fighter 4 games. And of course, if you don't have one, the PS2 version comes really, really close. It's not 100% spot-on perfect, but if you're not in the market for a Naomi 2 arcade system, it's the best you're going to do without throwing down the money for one. But, of course, it goes without saying, since I did it, I'd recommend getting a Naomi 2 just for the arcade version of Virtua Fighter 4. Well, the arcade versions, because they are just that good in my opinion. And it really would be worth it if you're into arcades like me. Well, this has been another Game Nexus arcade video, and I shall see you later. Bye. And I definitely like it how it shows the different how you beat everybody, but like in a classic Virtua Fighter look there. Well, I'll see you later then.
over.